what if that market just evaporated overnight? Like fumigating a house, you know?
Yeah.
There's nowhere for them to exist. They flee. They flee into the night.
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
I feel a little bit weird for this week's recording.
How's that?
We're not starting with a "What did DC do to us this week?" bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, where are we at with our distro?
We can do our FOCs.
Okay.
I was going. Did you get that last email from them?
I mean, the last thing I got was here's the resale certificate you need to fill out.
Okay. Which, it's super funny about that because I sent the resale certificate twice.
Right.
Then they sent us a thing saying, hey, do you want to fill it out online? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to, but it's better for us. So I did it again.
Sure.
And then I wound up doing it twice that way.
Yeah.
Because I misunderstood one of the buttons. But the email we got before that was basically, hey, you can FOC now. Even though they haven't necessarily approved the order, you can place FOCs and reorders.
Okay.
Just not initial orders.
Which I'm going to have to see if I have that email because I don't know how to... Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a kind of thing that I was waiting until the store was closed.
Sure.
So we could log in from home to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely planning on doing FOCs for Diamond stuff at the store tomorrow.
Okay. So
we can maybe do the DC stuff at night.
Or, I mean, if you want to take a shot at it tomorrow.
I got other stuff I can work on. It's not a big deal.
It's like 2 weeks worth of DC stuff. It's not huge.
Okay.
It just means that you'll have to have Comic Suite open.
Yep.
Check the sales.
Yep.
And bounce back and forth for everyone.
Uh-huh.
So that's a fun extra step.
Super fun.
I've been learning that other stores in our area have been using these other distributors regularly and still plan to do Tuesday on sales.
They plan on doing Tuesday on sales?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I wonder if that's a thing we might just soft open and do?
I guess. I mean,
put on the shelf?
A lot of it depends on
the timing.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say, like, we'll do it. On the other hand, it's like, when do we get the books? How long do they take to process? What else are we doing?
And also the idea of pulling club twice.
I mean, it would probably have to anyway, basically. Because it's two separate orders. Until any of that stuff gets integrated in the Comic Suite, you're doing two separate pulls lists.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's not worth, like, separating the DC stuff, at first, like, leaving it, then mixing it in, and then bouncing, or, like, having a DC box. And then, okay, we're going down, here's this person, John Adams, here's what he gets, and then look over, he gets these as well.
No, that's way more difficult.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah. Okay.
To have two separate pulls lists going simultaneously, it takes up so much extra room. And worse, it's kind of inefficient because you're better off just having a discrete pile of stuff and a pulls list and going bam, 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 rather than this gigantic box full of all of these things. And some people get DC stuff and some people don't get DC stuff. So it's...
I mean, it's not like the box has more stuff than normal. It's just the same stuff, but separated.
Yeah, but trying to do that with an additional pulls list that you have to be cross-referencing. And again, it's... The bigger problem is it's not like every single subscriber gets DC stuff and non-DC stuff. Some people will only get DC stuff. Some people will not get DC stuff.
Okay.
So, having to do that would be very, very, very error-prone. There would definitely be things that would get missed or things that would get misfiled. And that's above and beyond how do you put it on people's accounts and all that sort of stuff. Like, that's a completely separate problem that we'll have to solve.
Yeah. I mean, word is that everybody's working on a solution, but...
We got an email from DC today that's like, hey, take a survey about how you use your point-of-sale system.
Really? I didn't get that.
I think we both got it. I filled it out.
Okay. I don't remember seeing that at all.
Yeah, it's a real quick survey of who are you, where are you at, what distributors are you going to be using for which products, what point-of-sale system do you use, rank these 5 things and how important they are to you for your point-of-sale system. And then additionally, like, if you are going to be available to answer more questions later, yes or no. And I said yes. Because I hate everything about this, but if there's a way to make it better, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah. I don't know. I was talking to someone today who genuinely believes that Marvel is going to be leaving Diamond sooner rather than later.
I mean, nowadays I don't put anything past anybody, but I don't see how that's something Marvel wants to take on.
Yeah. Also, I think that this puts them in a much better position. But anyway, this is
For
an
sure.
industry
With Diamond,
insider.
absolutely.
This is an industry insider, and I think that if somebody can come up with a way to merge another distributor like Lunar with Comic Suite, then that's a great sign for anybody else who strikes out on their own moving forward.
For sure. I mean, the thing to consider, though, is that it's Comic Suite's ability to be flexible like that, to be a steward, if you will, of the market diminishes greatly the more clients they lose.
Yeah. No, I understand.
That's something where it's like, well, if you've lost DC, it's like, well, we can try and make this work. But if you've started to lose Image and Marvel, it's like, who are you paying to work on this program?
Sure.
Because you're not bringing in as much money.
I guess that's a good way to bring up the Eric Stevenson email.
Sure.
You read that?
Yeah, I did, yes.
That wasn't supposed to be for the general public.
No, even though it's written like a keynote.
Right, but it was sent to Image creators, but then it was immediately leaked.
Shocker.
I know, right?
In this market?
But one of the key things is they said that they're not leaving.
Yeah, well, yes. The email was a lot of, this basically it's dumb that DC's doing this because we've seen publishers do this before and it does not work. It's also like a vote of confidence in like, we believe in Diamond and we believe in sticking with Diamond, but there's some language in there where it's like, if Diamond were to go away or if the situation were to change, we are exploring other avenues. Like, there is a sense of no one involved, no matter how much you want Diamond to stick around, is viewing Diamond as some unassailable bedrock of the market. Like, they are the primary distributor now.
For now.
So everyone has to have an eye on, like, what are you going to do if this changes? Like, we've talked before, as much as we were complaining in I think, last episode about DC's plans and what they've done and how it destabilizes the industry. Way back when Diamond was first shut down for the coronavirus quarantine, I got kind of excited thinking about a world without single-issue comics and Diamond. We absolutely have a plan on what Challengers would look like should that occur. I don't financially know if it would work, but I would be very excited to find out. I think there's a lot of... If single-issue comics and Diamond were to go away, there's a lot of weird positives that would occur.
I have one question about how the store would look in that capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be blue?
No, sorry, still red.
Oh,
Still red.
Okay, I don't know if I'm as on board as I would have been.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But just to back up just for a second, for those who don't know what we're talking about, Eric Stevenson is the publisher of Image Comics, and he sent an email to all their creators just basically saying, like a State of the Union, a state of the distribution system.
It's kind of amazing to me that the guy who wrote Nowhere Men ended up becoming the publisher of Image Comics. Like, it wasn't even that high-selling comic.
Right.
I mean, it's not like it was Spawn or Walking Dead. Weird.
Sure, right?
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, if I could remember the other title of his book, his other book.
Oh, yeah.
This Is Us.
They're not like us or something?
Yeah, they're not like us. They're not like the CBS TV show This Is Us.
Not to keep digressing, but it's super funny to me that Nate Belgard is doing stealth at Image now. When I would have figured that dude, because he almost single-handedly got the publisher's book to never finish.
Yeah.
I would have thought that dude would be like verboten at that company. That there's no way that you could get a book approved at Image if you're like, the artist is Nate Belgard. But they did. They got it approved.
Well, it's a Skybound book, so it's a whole different set of rules.
Okay. Yeah, that explains it then.
Yeah.
I gotta imagine there was a discussion of, like, when Kirkman was doing that, there was if you want...
Yeah.
I mean, but Nate Belgard's a Kirkman guy to start with. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Adam Eve pages still.
Yeah, I love his artwork.
Yeah.
Man, I love Nate Belgard's artwork.
But anyway, I mean, regardless of how the language goes, I mean, I think that every publisher should be exploring their options just as a failsafe.
Right now?
And
God,
probably already should have had a plan in place.
Well, I mean,
Like in the same way that we have a tentative plan in place should there be no Diamond Comics.
For sure.
And it's something that we've thought about previous to all this.
We dreamed about it.
But now it's more of an active, like, oh no, this is how we would do it.
Every single time someone calls up looking for Legion of Superheroes number 6 because it's the first appearance of Gold Lantern, I dream about it. It's like, what if there was nowhere for these collectors to go in comics? What if it was just books and stories and there was nothing for them?
Would they be that excited for the first appearance of Gold Lantern if it was only in a trade?
Yeah, I'd probably not. I mean, that would be so great. What if that market just evaporated overnight? Like fumigating a house, you know?
Yeah.
There's nowhere for them to exist. They flee. They flee into the night. What were we talking about before?
Sammy Stevenson, Image, other publishers being prepared.
Yeah. I think in general, not specifically the Diamond thing, but every smart publisher for the last decade has figured out alternate distribution channels to comics. You know, book trade or digital or Scholastic book clubs or direct-to-consumer or whatever. So I think everybody who's smart is not looking at single-issue comic distribution through Diamond or worse, graphic novel distribution through Diamond as their sole lifeline. Like, you have to have different avenues to explore. And now it just means maybe having different avenues to explore for single-issue comics. Like, maybe not Diamond, maybe something else.
Speaking of different avenues to explore, and we talked earlier about your workload for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can I have you do something tomorrow?
What's that?
We need to finalize our Penguin account, place our first order.
Cool.
It is a whopping $250 minimum.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Fine.
So...
Do we have a login for them?
No, because our account isn't active because we have to fill this out.
Like ISBN numbers?
Yes.
Ugh.
But I mean, if you just give me the titles, I'll do that legwork.
We'll see.
I mean, if you just want to come up with what we would order from them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't 100% know who they cover. I guess I can look online and see who their clients are. DC for sure. I mean, we could probably... it's tough. Normally I'd say like, oh my god, I'm sure like $250 retail or net?
Uh-huh.
Let's say retail. Let's say net, because net's more. Ordinarily I'd say, yeah, $250 in a week, sure. I'm sure we'd have to reorder that. But with sales being weird right now, I don't know that we did that much backstock. I mean, we probably did. It's probably fine.
Yeah, but all that stuff is also probably in boxes still and sidekicks?
But a lot of that stuff has not been absorbed yet. So that'll just maybe have us have extras for a few weeks once I get to that. But I mean, at this rate, looking at how much work I have to do, like superhero graphic novels is probably 3 weeks away from being touched. Probably.
Wow. Okay.
Just to get there. I mean, because now, even if I'm working 5 days a week, a lot of those days are normal busy. You know what I mean? Like today, I didn't have a ton of time to work on, absorbing the River North stock in 6 hours because I had customers to help and emails to answer and 2 different reorders that came in and, on and on. Like there was a point when we were closed to walk-in traffic where I had a ton of time to work on projects like that. And that time is almost all gone.
Yeah.
It's very, very limited compared to what it would have been 2 weeks ago, which is why I maybe had hoped that more of that stuff could have been dealt with before we reopened. But, it happened.
I'm sorry, I was writing. You should have stalled.
Okay, you can just cut that part out.
I'm not going to.
Okay, fine.
I have so much to do, Dal, even though I'm not working at the store.
I'm not going to listen to this. What do I care?
I have so much to do on the insurance front, which is, it's moving along.
Well, that's good.
And, do you want to take a stab at what the window costs for Blue to replace it?
$2,000.
Okay, it's nowhere near that.
Okay.
So that's good. $740.
That's still a bunch of money.
It is. And in theory, we'll get that back, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, or when.
But here's the thing that made me angry about Red because of this whole situation. So to recap this, obviously the window got smashed. That's how people came in. It got boarded up by the landlord. That's 2 weeks ago now. And we haven't been able to replace it because our trusted and normal go-to board-up company, and they do glass replacement, super busy.
Yeah.
Super busy. We finally, by being patient and by being, I believe, a regular customer, finally got them to adjust the schedule to put us on for yesterday.
Cool. And
they came out to replace the glass, only to find out that it's a specialty kind of glass.
Yay.
It is thermal glass.
Oh, neat.
Imagine
thermal glass, Patrick.
Imagine thermal glass
Who would have thought they would have made such a thing?
Bucktown.
Imagine
To
if anyone,
dispel
imagine if anyone who built that goddamn
the
building
heat
thought for even half a second about
that
the fact
comes
that
in
there is a setting
all day
sun
long.
directly opposite the building. Imagine if anybody who built that building had a brain in their head.
Throw your mind back to 12 and a half years ago
Uh-huh.
to sitting in an office with me,
Mm-hmm. I remember you.
a broker,
Mm-hmm.
and the then building owner.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember me specifically asking that question
Yep.
about...
Because we saw where the building was.
Yes.
And we saw that there was nothing but one-story buildings opposite it. And we thought, hey, Western Avenue is a north-south street, which means the sun is going to be setting directly opposite the building. Which means if it's all windows, isn't it going to get really hot in there?
And we were told, no.
Nope.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
And that they initially had thought of building a vestibule for that spot, but decided it was unnecessary.
Uh-huh.
Now, admittedly, the vestibule would have messed up the entrance to Sidekicks,
Yeah.
but... And I'm not saying they should have done that, and I'm also not saying a vestibule would have in any way
No.
helped the heat,
No,
but
God.
that's as far as their concern went.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a thing that we asked about when the building was being built.
Yep.
Yeah, and if they'd put in thermal windows back then, oh man, just imagine how the heat wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
We'd be saving money on
Yep.
electricity for the AC and for the heat.
Yep.
Oh, who would have thought
Uh-huh.
over 12 years ago?
Uh-huh.
And then when you look at how much it costs per window, you think it is not cost effective to replace these windows.
Oh, God, no, not all
No.
those windows. No,
Nope.
no.
Nope.
But who knows? Maybe someday that plating works will get torn down and they'll build a bigger building there.
Remember how excited I got 2 years ago and I thought that was happening? And they did. They're building a giant building next to it.
Yeah, there were some people out kind of doing some measurements and stuff a couple days ago. But, I mean, I don't know if that's moving forward or just people measuring things in the city.
I mean, I'm sure it takes all kinds to live a life. So we need to finish setting up those accounts, and
Great.
I have to finish
Very exciting.
the insurance forms. I think I've done a pretty good job of being meticulous with our insurance information, and I've kept a good record, and I sent everything in as soon as they asked us to.
Mm-hmm.
And then they called today and basically said, hey, we got everything you sent in. Now, here's an online form system if you can plug all that stuff into that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh,
Great.
I mean, it's easier that I have it all to refer back to,
Of
but it's
course,
like,
but still.
I could have done this your way from the get-go.
Uh-huh.
But again, they are another company that is swamped with claims, with having to do, their job so much more.
Mm-hmm.
It's like accountants during tax season. By the way, I'm still waiting to find out what's going on with our personal taxes.
Remember when we switched companies because it was going to be so much faster and get done?
Yeah, but,
Easier.
I mean, then there was a pandemic.
I mean, not until late March. When did we give the tax information into the tax preparer?
They did all of the business stuff on time, and that's
Right.
been done for a while. But that's when the slowdown hit for personal stuff.
Okay.
It's, as far as I know, it's not due until July 15th.
Still.
I know. It's just another matter of, how much are we going to owe on that?
Right.
What's
which is
another?
why I would have liked to know that way before it was due.
Yeah.
Not a month before it was due at the latest.
And now we're at the point where my hospital bills are started rolling in.
Uh-huh.
All those bills from yesterday added up, and they're about $900.
Oof.
Which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, not a whole lot, but
At least they ended up fixing you.
I have no idea how many more are coming.
Let's assume more.
I definitely assume more. I spent the night in the hospital.
Uh-huh.
I assume that is like a minimum of $5,000 out of pocket.
Oof.
That's how healthcare works in this country.
Wow, we should fix that.
Yeah, well, this is Contest of Challengers, a healthcare industry business podcast in Chicago, right? That's what we do here.
Sure.
Boy, I'm having a hard time getting a good position in this chair. So I was in the store working almost 2 days this week.
Almost.
I was there Tuesday. I was going to say all day, but our Tuesdays are now 6-hour days for the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there 6 hours, and then I was there 8 hours on Wednesday, the full time we were open, but I kind of checked out around 5:30.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still there. I was talking to people, and then I got a second wind and was doing stuff at the end of the day, and it's like, oh no, I need to finish this job.
Yeah.
But it's weird being there because I'm very uncomfortable while I'm there, and I spend most of my days at home seated or, with my leg elevated, as I'm supposed to, and there's no good way to do that at Challengers. I mean, I could sit on the stool awkwardly.
Right.
I can sit on a folding chair, but then trying to put my leg up doesn't really help, and then I'm so much lower than everybody else if I'm sitting behind the counter.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's the alternative is just not being there. And I like to think I helped you out by being there.
Sure.
I mean, aside from that, doesn't sound convincing.
I mean, it's hard to say. I can't quantify helpful or not helpful,
On the one hand...
Let's assume you did.
I mean, I would have pointed to jobs that I did and things that you didn't have to do. On the one hand, I had to be there while you were picking up the books. On the other hand, you got back in, record time.
Yeah.
Which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the drive currently with how few cars are on the expressway.
Look at how gross that foot is.
It's pretty gross.
Look at how black and blue those toes are.
No, I saw.
I don't know why they're like that. I don't like it. I'm used to the pressure in my thigh, and it's not that it doesn't hurt, but I'm used to it. It's such an everyday thing.
Sure.
But it's the swollen foot and having to put weight on the foot and the ankle that are the most annoying parts of being at the store.
Sure.
I don't know. I look forward to a point where this podcast doesn't have to talk about... I mean, I don't have to, but I mean, where I don't feel like I want to update people on my crippling injury.
Maybe someday.
And if I will ever get better. There was a point this week, and I'll be honest, there was a point where it got pretty dark when my doctor told me that this is going to take, quote, and this is a medical diagnosis, quite a while for this to reabsorb back into my system.
Awesome.
And quite a while after already going through this for 5 months just really depressed me.
Did you say 5 months?
I meant 5 weeks.
Okay. Let's keep it in perspective here.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking ahead. Is it 5 months? Is it more?
Sure.
There are things that I've been planning for the end of the year, and now it's like, don't make any plans. You literally don't know what you're going to be capable of.
Yeah, I mean, just for my own sense of self-care, I was definitely thinking about things of well, in July, Patrick will be back at the store more, I'll get more days off. And now it's I don't know if that's true.
Well, here's what I'm for the rest of June, I plan to be there Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Right.
I'm hoping by July I can add Fridays, which means you'd still probably have to drop me off.
Sure, which I said is fine.
Yeah, but so long as I have Jeanna there. You had Jeanna today. Was Jeanna's first day back? How was that?
Jeanna was great.
Yeah, Jeanna's real good.
I mean, it was... Now, she was useful. I had, over the last few days, made
She has 2 good legs now.
2 working legs. She did not complain about her foot once.
Well, you got me there.
But I had made a list of things that needed to be done, and thankfully Jeanna was able to plug away at a bunch of them, which was great. And also her being there meant I could be in the back room a little bit and rearrange some stuff so I could get some of the things that maybe are going to take a while to get dealt with from River North just out of the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did some rearranging on the shelves in the back room of Challengers. And then I also got to put some more comics in the system, and again, I got to work on those reorders. So it was all stuff where, things that needed doing that, frankly, because we haven't had Kent on Thursdays, we're not getting done, cutting down flats.
Sure.
And then I needed her to take apart the old Challengers Choice signs because, 1, we don't have any space for them because all the bookshelves are going to be way too full.
Yeah.
But 2, we're going to be switching over to...
a new system.
The acrylic ones that we were using in River North that we suddenly have a whole bunch of. So once we have space on the shelves for Challengers Choice displays, they will be of a different material that I like a lot better, frankly.
Cool. I like them as well.
Yeah.
And we will have Kent back starting this Thursday.
That's my understanding, yes. Unless something changes.
He's been ready for weeks. He wanted to come back immediately, but
I guess I just mean, like, what if we need him to be in River North for something? Like, we don't have him
Oh.
scheduled to be there,
yeah,
but...
yeah. I mean, the glass is getting made, so that'll be a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully he'll be in on Thursday, so I will not be in on Thursday, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Should we move ahead with renting a storage unit for the rest of the stuff in blue?
Like, what do you mean the rest of the stuff? Like, which things? Like,
I mean,
the counters?
no, I mean all of the shelves.
Sure. So, like, the grid wall and the grid wall shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly for the things like we have stuff in the back hallway.
Yes, and that stuff.
Which has nowhere to go. And so, yeah, things like that, I'd love to get some of that stuff out of there. Yeah, I think it's worth doing, depending on the cost. I don't know how much that stuff costs, so I don't know what our options are.
I mean, we have a 5x10 spot now that is just filled with all my comics.
Right.
And that is about $110 a month.
Okay. Do
you think we could get away with a 5x5 for
this
this
stuff?
stuff?
So, for sure. I mean, we'll know for sure after Sunday once we start taking things down.
But I mean, it's all the grid and all the shelves, plus the 3 front tables, plus the other tape station.
The 3 front tables can be disassembled.
Right, but they still have to go somewhere.
Right, that's true.
And then there's the shoe racks on top of those.
Right.
There is the tape station.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope a 5x5 would be sufficient, but I don't.
There's the other shelving unit that's the gray shelving unit that's can also be disassembled but takes up some room.
Yeah, although that, I mean, there's a point where I do want to rearrange the back hallway of Challengers.
Yeah.
Because we had ideas on better use of that space, and each time I pass by it, I'm like, this is so much wasted space. Like, between the cart that we maybe should get rid of, I was reluctant to do it, but I think it's probably the smart move.
Yeah.
It's just so massive and so in the way, and we could put more shelves back there, because we have so many boxes of comics now that cannot go anywhere. Yeah.
Well, are you still interested in doing the back issue system?
For sure. I mean, more so now. Like, less so when River North was still running.
Yeah.
But a lot more now because I could use all those boxes. Do you know how much restock stuff we have that we cannot fit on the shelves?
Does that include stuff that came over from Blue?
I mean, specifically the stuff that came over from Blue.
I do not know how much.
The stuff that we would normally have would maybe be 3 to 4 half-size boxes.
I'm going to say 6 more long boxes.
I mean, potentially, yeah. It's a lot. There's things that we are not even going to put in the restock boxes because they'd be considered back issues because it's all stuff we already pulled off the shelves.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, River North basically had everything that we had on the wall, a couple copies of each book.
Yeah.
So it just doubled. So everything that we have on the wall in Bucktown basically is now duplicated in restock boxes. And that's on top of so much restock stuff that even River North did not have on the walls. All that stuff's got to go somewhere. And right now it's kind of ugly and hard to get at and really, really, really hard to interact with in a way that we could actually restock from it. It's just that there's no really good organization to it because there's just too many goddamn boxes.
Yeah.
So having it in a system where, like our back issue boxes, where you can alphabetize it and pull stuff out and root through it in a way it's a lot faster. Yes, absolutely, please. But the problem is I don't know when we would do that because that's...
First we would have to...
Frankly, that's a 2-person job and we don't have 2 people.
Well, we could have other people. It just wouldn't be me person.
So this is a thing, and it goes into a lot of the stuff that we're doing for River North, and God bless everybody who gave their time to help us tear that store apart. But the problem with it is that when you and I are working on something together, we have the same vision in our head of what the end result is supposed to be. So there's not a lot of, explain this to me or show me how this works. You know?
Yeah.
There's like, we can both be working on it simultaneously in our own areas or fields and not be duplicating work or not be getting in each other's way and work quickly and efficiently. Once it's you or me and then other people, what you or I have to do then is explain to everybody else what's supposed to happen. And that's time that we're not working on anything because we just have to be supervising everybody else. And that always, to me, even though there's more hands, it becomes less efficient.
I understand.
So doing something where it's like, what if me and Kent tried to do all this stuff that we're talking about with the back issues? Like, Kent never had the discussions we had, and Kent doesn't see it the same way we do. So it would have to be a thing of like me specifically telling Kent each time, do this task. Okay, now do this task. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm not calling out Kent as being like bad at his job or someone who couldn't handle this. It's just a matter of
there's
like,
a shorthand that we have.
Yeah, it becomes an additional layer of work to lay that out.
But the work on top of that is getting the new shelf system set up for the back issues. Getting
all the brackets put in.
Which I can still do that.
There's some on the lower shelves.
No, all of them are going to, like, every single one of these shelves is going to be put on a table.
Oh, okay.
One of the gray folding tables.
And you'll just work on it that way.
Yeah, and I did it, not standing, but, did it, and then flipping it over.
Sure, got it.
But we also need to get all new boxes for those. Mm-hmm. And did you want to cut the boxes again down to the handle?
Not to start with.
Okay. It's a lot harder to do it when they're made.
I mean, then I guess.
Or not. That's all.
I mean, what do you think?
I like it that way.
Okay.
I think it's helped the longevity of those. The boxes that are, like, the most damage we get are on the signs. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, maybe we don't do it because of how much extra time it takes. Cutting 64 boxes through 2 layers of corrugated comic box cardboard takes some time.
It does. That's true.
Also, we would need to order the shelves because we can do that again.
Yeah.
And that's probably still like a 4-week delivery.
I guess. I mean, maybe that's something. Well, let's not do it till July. Okay. I mean, as much as I would love to have that to store all the comics and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a system right now that's sort of fine.
You can wait a month.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we have so much to deal with as far as getting all the River North stuff done. And then maybe once we do a storage space and we start clearing up space in Bucktown, then that becomes a little bit more easier to deal with.
I was going to say, maybe we could put the cart in the storage space. But having to get it there is so much of the problem.
Yeah, I wish there were somewhere else to put that cart. I really do. There's just really not.
It's so heavy.
It's so heavy. Like, that's one of the benefits, but at the same time, it's like, Jesus Christ.
And while we literally haven't needed it in years, the second it's gone, it's like, oh, we need that cart.
Well, I'll say this. The last few times that we've set up at shows, we had that cart and we did not bring it because it is a gigantic pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So I think that alone says, like, maybe we don't need this anymore.
Did we bring it to the toy show? Shy Tag?
That we did, but when we did the Book Expo.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We definitely didn't bring it to
No, we didn't. We just used our regular cart.
Yeah.
Like a little hand truck. Not even, like, we didn't... The normal cart we have now, we've only had for a year and a half.
Oh, man. I mean, for I want to say for the Book Expo, we ended up just borrowing a cart. Yeah. We were just like, here.
Yeah, we did. We
just grabbed one.
We had a beg to borrow carts.
And I don't see us doing... I mean,
we're not doing shows.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
if there even are shows anymore.
We're definitely not doing shows for a while. But, I mean, even if we do, like, that's... I feel like that's a problem we could solve at some later date. You know?
Yeah.
If we... It's hard to envision us needing a gigantic heavy metal cart that would be worth it to try and haul to someplace and haul back to the store. It just... right now, it's in the way, and it's in the way every goddamn day. You know, if that means that for 4 days, sometime in the future, we regret not having it, I mean, that's a solvable problem.
Yeah.
But right now, it is in the way.
I literally just had an idea, and I'm not going to vocalize it here.
Okay.
On how we can get rid of it. Mm-hmm. We could...
Ride it down Western Avenue.
Once we remove...
It's got hills.
Once we remove all of the handwritten Challengers signs on it.
Send it back from whence it came?
Yes. Literally.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Sure.
Full circle.
We were just borrowing it.
Yeah. For 10 years.
Sure.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
Because otherwise, it's like, what do you do? Throw it in a dumpster?
I mean, that's something that if you put it on Craigslist, someone would come grab it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Someone somewhere would be like, okay, sure.
I wonder if we shouldn't just take a bunch of that crap to Blue and one day just have a garage sale.
Maybe. Or, I mean, we talked about having to potentially get, like, one of those dumpster companies.
Yeah.
to just like to
We
leave.
could do that after we'll raise the money during the garage sale to pay for the dumpster for the rest of the stuff we throw away.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that, yeah. But that means we have to have somebody there running a garage sale type thing.
Sure. That could be anybody, though.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, they got to have a square.
We can give them a square.
I don't know how we would publicize it.
I don't know. It's way down on the list of things that I feel like I want to deal with right now.
Just things like, even if we get a storage unit for all the grid wall, we still have to load that up into my car.
Yep. Boy,
drive it over there.
I love carrying grid wall.
Yeah.
Boy, it doesn't pinch my fingers or wear me out at all.
Well, I already have 2 people on board for helping us on an unnamed Sunday in the future. So I think between the 2 of them and you and I, that's not that difficult because you and I brought all that stuff in ourselves.
Sure did.
The only issue is the storage facility that we use. It could be a whole bunch of walking and having to go through.
Maybe we'll need the metal cart.
Well, they have plenty of carts there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
I know. I thought of that, but it's just a matter of pulling up to the dock, unloading it all on the dock, then loading it onto the things and getting in the elevator and blah blah blah. Depending on where if they even have any 5x5s.
Yeah, we'll see.
Or maybe we sell the grid at the garage sale.
Sure.
Yeah. So the plan this Sunday is to get everything else. To get everything off the wall,
right?
Start patching up the wall. There's no way we finish that this week, though.
No.
But also get everything else, into the center of the store, kind of.
Yeah.
Clean everything else out, move everything except for the counters.
Right.
I did still hold out hope that we'd be able to use the cash wrap at Blue. And remember, I had talked about my little printer stand area. But I measured it out. It would not fit. The door would not be able to fully open.
I'm sorry.
Unless we no, that would be dumb. I mean, I had an idea just now, but it would be dumb because the 2 counters, the red counter and the black counter, meet at the corners.
Oh, move the black counter more to the left? Is that what you're saying?
No. I mean, what if we put the blue counter there, in that where Deadpool is?
Yeah, no. I don't think it would do anything really.
It's just an extra surface.
Yeah,
unless we had the opening and that's facing out, and that's stupid.
In a corner, where it's least useful. No, I
yeah, but I mean, we could move the receiver over there and have more,
But you'd also have to move Deadpool, and you couldn't Deadpool. I think is more useful than whatever 2 square feet we'd have.
Yeah, it is literally 2 square feet. You're right. And I would love to put Peter B. Parker on the ceiling, but it's an awful high ceiling.
He'll go somewhere. We'll figure him out for sure. I think you could probably. What if you did him above the doorway in Sidekicks, where the reading frames are?
Oh, maybe.
Where he's just climbing down?
Yeah, we'd need to see... I
think that'd be a lot easier to install.
Okay. That's a good call.
Thanks.
We'll measure that when I'm there next to see if that'll work.
Tuesday.
And we know where the clocks are going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to keep those. I don't know if Jenny and Steve and Egg brought back the city names, but I assume they're somewhere.
They're probably in one of those boxes in the hallway.
Yeah.
With the clocks and everything else.
Yeah, I saw the clocks. I did go looking for the tape.
So many boxes in that back hallway.
Yeah.
So many.
At least the barbershop is cool with that stuff being back there.
Sure. I mean, well, they've had stuff in the back hallway before that we didn't crab about, so I think as long as it's, for a limited time, and it is, we definitely, for my peace of mind, by mid-July, I want all of that stuff to be done with one way or the other for all those boxes. They go away, the product's absorbed into the store.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So that I can start working on other projects.
Dal, what would you be like? What would your life be like? Not what would you be like. What would your life be like without projects?
I'll never know.
Boring. Just boring.
I'll never know.
You'd hate it. You'd be so bored.
It'd be very nice at some point in the summer to not have some crazy multi-week project hanging over my head.
I mean, that's not happening.
No.
I read an article this week that said that the best way to fight off the second and or third waves of COVID-19 is if everyone just wears masks all the time.
I mean, aren't we doing that already?
But I mean, are people doing it?
Everyone who comes into Challengers has a mask on.
That's good. I mean,
every single person I've seen the last 2 days had a mask on.
I've seen servers say to people, or publicly, "Hey, I know you're here to eat and drink. please wear your mask if you're not eating and drinking.
Right.
I think restaurants should start giving out straws for every drink. Wine, beer, doesn't matter. Here's a straw. Not enforcing it, but saying, here, you can put the straw up under your mask.
Oh, I mean, not every mask. Like, I think I'd have a tough time doing that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it would...
It just pulls out a little bit.
The way it... Not every mask. Some masks, yes. Some masks, no.
Still waiting for my Comics Fists mask, although it's probably not the fault of the company that produces it. It's the fault of the fact that we don't get any mail anymore.
That's probably the bigger problem, yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens on Saturday. I'm not expecting anything, but we'll see.
I mean, all you have to do is request package pickup. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
That's what you've been doing.
You can do that, and they still won't show up.
And they still won't show up. It's amazing.
Yep.
It is amazing.
Well, that's why it's a request, not a demand.
A quick couple of wrestling things. For New Japan Pro Wrestling, they probably won't be having any outsiders wrestle for a while.
Okay.
Because even if they do, those people have to come to Japan.
Wait 2 weeks.
Wait 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Then wrestle.
Yep.
And then go back where they came. Wait 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
So you're not going to see Moxley defending his Intercontinental belt or whichever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd assume that, like, for almost every promotion, it's going to be, like, homegrown talent, unless that homegrown talent is willing to relocate for a span of time.
Yeah.
Like, we hadn't seen Evil Uno and Stu Grayson on AEW for a while because they're Canadian guys.
Yeah.
They're back now.
The travel ban, I guess, has been reduced enough that they can come back.
I think it's probably just that they're okay staying in Florida for a while, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Will Ospreay, one of my favorite wrestlers, also known as the Aerial Assassin. Those days are over.
Uh-oh.
He is no longer the Aerial Assassin. This is not to say he won't do some flips and stuff.
That he won't assassinate from the air?
But during this time, he's put on 25 pounds of muscle.
He wanted to get above that junior weight class, you know?
So now he's like 227.
He wanted to wrestle as a heavyweight.
And he's very muscular.
Okay.
And that kind of frame doesn't
even
allow
with his
for...
hollow bones, really?
Yeah, exactly.
He can't
Exactly.
do as much crazy stuff off the top turnbuckle? Well,
That
let's see
guy.
if it does for his career what he wants it to.
Let's hope. Pip pip cheerio. Something. Hey, Dal. Denny O'Neil passed away today.
He did, 81 years old.
Or yesterday.
Denny O'Neil, longtime Batman writer and editor from the Den.
From the Den. He was one of my all-time favorites.
Sure.
He has left a significant mark on this industry.
Yeah.
He created characters like Ra's al Ghul, Talia.
On the other hand, he unfortunately also created Frank Miller. So, you know, I mean ups and downs. Like, no one's perfect.
He put James Rhodes in the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
He made Speedy a junkie.
Yeah.
He put he gave Green Arrow the more liberal leanings that the character is defined by now.
Yeah.
Except for Stephen Amell, who, boy, is he having a rough week. But we won't talk about that.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's not great stuff.
Oh, golly. Okay.
I mean, he does a video podcast.
Sure.
Which is like delves deep into people's backstories, and this week was supposed to be Grant Gustin.
Uh-huh.
And Grant said, "Hey man, I don't want to do it this week because I don't think you should. There's too much going on in the world."
Sure. That's fair.
So Stephen Amell's like, I was going to do this week and talk about what a great guy Grant Gustin is, but he can't do it. He didn't want to do it for this reason. But the fact that Stephen Amell was still willing to try to do it, got a lot of people, like T. Franklin, extremely mad at him.
Oh, gosh.
And they had some exchanges, and it's hard to tell what he was saying because you're reading it on the internet and not with his intent.
Sure.
But at first he was asking for her help and trying to be better in what he needed to do.
Right.
But then he blocked her and everything.
Okay.
So really weird. Just a lot of tone deaf stuff.
Yeah, the whole one of the things that is not my favorite move is the like when someone calls you out doing the like, help me be better. That's not their job. That is not what they signed up for, is
Right.
to counsel every well-intentioned but mistaken person. Yeah. I see the intent behind it, and I respect anyone who's looking to do a better job of being a human being. But there's a point where it's just like, don't make this someone else's problem. don't make them responsible for your betterment.
But going back to Denny O'Neil, a long-time Batman writer, he got his start by jokingly filling out a Marvel writer test at Roy Thomas's request.
Okay.
And then getting hired to do things like Millie the Model and Patsy Walker. And then quickly moved on to write basically every character for Marvel. And then Julie Schwartz, I believe, took him to DC. And there he wrote everybody for DC. But his runs, his notable runs are, of course, Batman, Iron Man. He bridged the
Green Lantern, Green Arrow.
Yeah, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. He bridged the gap between Frank Miller's Daredevil runs.
Yeah.
Not only was he the editor of those, but then he wrote Daredevil while Frank Miller was gone until he came back.
Right.
I think my all-time favorite work of his is The Question. Question is so good.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, it's tricky for me because when I came into comics, Denny was already the editor.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, my favorite work of his is like when Alan Grant was writing Batman, or when Jim Starlin was writing Batman, or when, Marv Wolfman was writing Batman. Like, those are the eras where, like, I was more into that stuff, because he was the guy who was editing those books.
Sure, and he was definitely a guy who had a vision for those characters.
Yeah, that was his tone that those guys were working in. So, like, for me, Denny wasn't a guy that I can point to a specific comic book and go, yep, that was Denny O'Neil. Like, so much as, like, he was the Batman office when I got into Batman comics. And all of the things that I think of as, like, archetypal or character-defining stuff is when Denny O'Neil was the editor on those books, for sure.
But what is the most significant contribution he's had to your life, Dal?
My life in particular?
Yeah.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. I was going to try and say, like, well, I mean, he created Ra's al Ghul. I think that's a pretty cool character. He gave the name to the red and blue truck character who's going to be the hero for the Transformers. Came up with the name Optimus Prime. He also came up with so many terrible names that Jim Shooter said, Bob Budiansky, can you fix this? And Bob Budiansky came up with, like, everything else.
And Denny O'Neil didn't even remember naming Optimus Prime.
No, because, I mean, like, I was at a BotCon, I think, that Budiansky was a guest at. And he had a panel, and he went through kind of the secret origin of the Transformers as far as, like, his job at Marvel. And it's great because he doesn't... There's some guys when they're on a panel that can kind of, like, wax poetic about how much it meant to them and how they channeled something deep within themselves. But Budiansky was like the consummate, I got given an assignment and I did the assignment. Like, it was a job that most people didn't want at Marvel. Shooter and Denny had worked on it for like a weekend and came up with like the basic premise of like two different warring robot civilizations and sort of some of the key terminology and what the gimmick was. And then they were given this kind of box of toys from Hasbro, and they sort of decided these are the good guys and these are the bad guys. But then, like, Denny O'Neil came up with a lot of the names. And I guess, like, after the weekend, Shooter's like, these all suck. These are all terrible names. And Budiansky got given the job, and so he came up with the names and the personalities and of all of these characters. And he did it because it was his job.
Yeah.
But
this wasn't his burning passion. This wasn't his childhood dream.
Yeah, but it was the same thing for Denny O'Neil, where he was just a guy who was working at Marvel, and he was a guy who was working at Marvel that Shooter's like, we need this project to work. You're a smart guy. Help me come up with some stuff. Because that was the thing that used to happen a lot at Marvel, where the bullpen style was still very prevalent, where if something wasn't working, Shooter would just pull in a bunch of people to work on it to figure it out.
Now we call that crowdsourcing.
Well, I mean, this was like X Factor wasn't working.
Yeah.
So they just got everyone together in a hotel room for like a weekend and rewrote and redrew X Factor #1 because it's like, this has to launch well. And everybody lived in New York because...
That's what you did.
That's what you had to do if you were working at Marvel or DC. You kind of had to live around where Marvel and DC were housed at. And so, yeah, the Denny O'Neil thing, I wouldn't expect him to remember, like, coming up with Optimus Prime, because it was probably a thing where, he got pulled into Shooter's office late one night, and he didn't care, and nothing else got used. And after that, it was completely someone else's problem for the next 10 years.
I like how, if you look at his physical appearance, when he first started in the industry, he looked like a beat poet
Sure.
He was clean shaven and had this big mop of curly dark hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of his career, he looked like a hard-boiled PI.
Yeah.
Always wearing a trench coat,
Mm-hmm.
mustache, maybe beard, but mustache.
Yeah.
Shaved head.
Round head.
Yeah.
Denny O'Neil had a very round head.
Yep. It helped all the ideas keep rolling around.
That must be it.
Except for the names. So, Denny O'Neil, thank you for everything you've done.
Thanks, Denny.
You will always be remembered as a pioneer and a huge benchmark in this industry.
It's true.
There was a Marvel announcement today. Not an announcement, but a video trailer.
I mean, I saw it as an announcement.
I saw it as a video trailer first.
There were quotes from people, and there were cover images. There was a solicitation text.
There's a new
September
Iron Man series launching in September after Iron Man 2020 is over.
Should that eventually end?
Yeah, or come out again.
They got 3 more issues left to go. They're only halfway done.
Written by Christopher Cantwell.
Yeah.
And drawn by Cafu.
Yeah, I wonder what that means for Doctor Doom, which is, I think, not reappeared on the schedule.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just going to get burned off on digital.
I am excited because his Doctor Doom is great.
Well, we didn't mention one other creative component, cover artist and character designer.
Alex Ross.
Alexander Ross.
I'm fine with that. I'll be honest, the armor looks better than I thought it would.
I didn't see a full image of it. I mean, I saw the cover, but the cover he's fighting like the Controller and Crimson Dynamo, and so it's like I can't get a look at the actual armor yet. But they said everything about this feels very, hey, we get that like Iron Man has gone pretty far in the MCU vein.
Yeah.
But now that character is dead, let's dial it back to kind of a classic Marvel design. And
especially because Tony Stark doesn't really exist in the current Iron Man continuity, in the Iron Man 2020 continuity.
Oh, yeah. But I expect that to change.
I mean, at the end of this, yeah.
That character's going to be in Empire, so clearly there isn't a Tony Stark Iron Man running around.
Okay. So anyway, I was first alerted to this. Someone on Facebook had said they were disappointed that Marvel's giving this book to another TV writer, not an up-and-coming writer. And it's one of the rare times I jumped in and said, you know what? I'm super excited for this. This guy has written some of the best comics the last couple of years.
Sure.
And as far as up-and-coming comic writers, this is it. This is him.
Yeah.
This is what you're asking for.
I mean, there's people who have transitioned from writing TV shows to writing comic books. It's not always in the other direction. Like,
yeah, but this is
Jodie Houser, somebody who, when she first was starting in comics, it was very like, oh, Jodie Houser from like Orphan Black. But now it's just like Jodie Houser, comic writer.
Yeah.
And Chris Cantwell, I'm sure he's got other projects in the works. He's a TV guy. He's done TV stuff. But he's definitely a guy that is not like moonlighting. He clearly likes writing comics.
Yeah. And has good ideas.
Yeah, and stepping up
execution.
from like something like Doctor Doom that probably has a more limited lifespan. I mean, that's a book that probably was conceived of as, 6 for sure, 12 possibly, 18 at the most. Iron Man is Iron Man. They're going to publish Iron Man comics every month.
Yeah.
So he's probably on Iron Man for a while.
He's got a pretty great Twitter handle.
What is it?
If you can't well.
That's nice.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a writer for you.
Yeah, I'm excited for that book. That's one of the
I like that creative team.
Yeah.
Iron Man's a character that doesn't 100% work for me. I feel like I definitely have enjoyed creative teams' works on that, but he's not a character that I feel an allegiance to. Like, as soon as I don't like an issue, I'm pretty much done with Iron Man.
Sure.
I don't stick it out. Like, I quit Tony Stark Iron Man, I think once they brought in Christos Gage to start co-writing stuff.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't into the story anymore, and it felt like something where I don't want to say, like, for me, once you bring on a co-writer to a superhero book, and they're not a full-time co-writer, like they're co-writing specific arcs, it's like, well, you're just telling me not to read that arc now. Like, if the main writer doesn't even feel like they need to do 100% on that one, why should I read it? So,
it was a real good concept of AI rights and things that we've seen before, but in a mainstream Marvel Universe book, so I like that aspect. But one of my all-time favorite Iron Man run is Michelini, JR, and Bob Layton.
Sure.
That stuff is just dynamite. But that gave us like Demon in the Bottle, and Justin Hammer, and all those great villains.
Yep. Obadiah Stane and Armor Wars,
Yeah.
and on and on and on. Silver Centurion, my favorite Iron Man armor.
Yeah, don't forget it. Denny O'Neil put James Rhodes in the armor.
Favorite.
And then Fraction and LaRocca had a great run.
Yeah, Iron Man Disassembled is real good.
But it was really akin to Wildcats 3.0 to me.
Okay.
As far as the tech aspects and the new cars and the batteries and whatever.
Sure.
Warren Ellis and Extremis.
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, again, there's been like key arcs and good creative teams, but I definitely am very much a tourist when it comes to Iron Man. Like,
yeah,
I only follow like good creative teams who have interesting things to say about the character, and honestly, that's for the most part that's how I'm about every single superhero comic. There's
definitely that way with Thor.
There's not a single franchise where I'm like, I'm in forever. Like, basically, like that changed for me once I stopped liking Kyle Rayner comics. Like, there was a point in a Judd Winnick thing where I'm just like, I cared so much about that character and his journey, and then it was just like, oh, this isn't good anymore. And then it was like, oh, I can quit anything. So yeah.
Don't you quit on me.
Yeah, well, like Marvel stuff, there's been plenty of books. I think maybe Amazing Spider-Man is one of the few things the last 10 years that I don't think I've ever bailed on. I think the closest I came was like a couple tie-in issues for non-Amazing Spider-Man series. Like, I know for Absolute Carnage, I was just like, nope, not reading those.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, like that one, but everything else. Like,
but are you real close to quitting now?
No, I like it now.
Okay.
I still like it. The recent Boomerang multi-parter I thought was pretty fantastic. There's the overall arc stuff, I think, for Amazing Spider-Man doesn't work super great for me. Like, I don't care that much about
Kindred.
Kindred, thank you. I was going to say, I can't remember the name of the villain.
Harry Osborn. That's just my guess.
Okay. Yeah, I have no guess. But, like, Kindred and whatever's going on with the Sin Eater, like, I don't really care about that stuff. But when they do little things with, like, Boomerang is his roommate, or stuff with MJ, or just, like, the weird kind of around the edges stuff is what I really, really dial into. But the main, huge, multi-year plot stuff is, like, not my thing. I'll usually get through it, unless it's someone else's plot. But if it's Spencer's, it's fine. I mean, it's never bad, but it's just not what I'm reading that book for.
Speaking of Nick Spencer, he's going to be bringing Morning Glories back.
Okay, wow.
For like an epilogue issue or something.
Talk about a book no one ever talks about.
Right. So
man,
is that a thing we're even going to carry?
Sure. I mean, not a lot, but sure.
Because we don't even have club numbers for it anymore.
No.
The book is long gone.
No. Even if we looked at whoever bought 50, like, I can't imagine more than half those people are even in our subscription service anymore.
Yeah.
The kind of churn you get at a comic shop. And even if they are, I don't know that they're going to want it.
Good point.
I mean, we were just talking about the new Boys miniseries, and you read it, and you didn't think it was a super great first issue, and I read all of Boys, and I really liked that series. I read every tie-in and every miniseries. The new one came out. I'm not reading it. I don't care. That was in the past. Yeah. I read them all. I don't need to read anymore. And yeah, I mean, I gotta imagine for Morning Glories, even if you were a fan, it's like, how connected do you feel to that story anymore? Even if you remember it, do you need more of it in your life? Very hard thing to go back to some of that stuff. I mean, I think if you do it like Lock and Key, where every year you keep checking in with it, I think you create that connection where people will still view it fondly. But when you come back to it 4 or 5 years later, it's like, why? Like, just do a new book. If you need to work with that person again, just do something else.
A few more quick things. One, while it hasn't been officially said, it's basically a given that 5G is dead.
Oh, yeah.
The whole DC 5G storyline. And
they got a different strategy. It seems like it's working pretty well for them.
Yeah, Runaway.
No, Punchline.
Oh.
Their next, in the DC email we got, Legion of Superheroes number 7, will have a 1 in 25 Gold Lantern design variant.
Yeah, just like the Punchline variant.
Yep. And they're doing it for Clown Hunter and...
up to Batman 100.
And the Designer and whatever. Like,
Nightwing.
That stuff is going to go crazy.
Harley Quinn. And one other one.
The Punchline 1 in 25 variant that just came out this past week goes for about $50 online.
Wow.
You think stores aren't going to be ordering multiple 25 quantity bundles to keep getting those covers that they can flip for $50?
Did you know that they had a writer for the new Batman?
No.
When it was going to start over at number 1 after issue 100?
No, I mean, the last I heard was that they couldn't get anyone to sign on for
They
it.
did. They got an Academy Award winning writer.
Oh, was it John Ridley?
Yep. It was John Ridley.
Okay. Well,
The rumor is he got a kill fee, though.
that's fine. I mean, I hope no one put a ton of work into something that no one's going to see.
And on the internet,
I mean, he was the guy that was writing that other book, the Secret
History.
Yeah, which will never come out.
Same
now.
answer.
Yeah.
Kill fee. On the internet, someone had asked James Tynion IV if he had plans for Batman post issue 100, and James had said, "Oh yes, many, many plans."
Yeah, I mean, certainly with how well the Punchline stuff is doing, assuming the Joker War story continues the kind of hot streak that book has been on, I gotta assume he's got as much runway as he wants to tell his story. For us, there's a lot of variables, and I don't want to make this sound like this is like definitive proof of anything, but boy, did Batman 92 not sell what I thought it was going to sell.
Nope.
We got a lot of copies of that book left. And
and we went up in both stores.
I'm sorry?
We upped our orders in both stores for it.
But I would say not a lot.
Yeah, but more than normal.
Yeah, well, because we were selling out of previous issues in like a day or two.
Yeah.
And now a couple months, 3 months later, it comes out and it's doing, I mean, we've sold some. We haven't sold none. But whatever like heat was behind that book and that story, it doesn't feel like it's continuing. The Joker special's doing okay. I mean, we sold a bunch of the variants, and I think we'll have a few copies left by the end of the week. But I don't know if the Batman stuff, the 3 months off might have really hurt that book's momentum more than other comics. But
People
I guess
just transfer to Legion of Superheroes instead.
There you go. Or whatever stupid book has a DC first appearance next week that people go crazy about for no apparent reason.
Yeah. Lastly, this is going to be a little bit vague, but we had a publisher come to us this week with an offer of help. A way to get some money to help recoup some of the losses in Blue. And I think they're reaching out to all the stores that got looted during this troubling time.
That's nice of them.
And they offered us an original cover from one of their series for us to auction off and to keep all the money. And we said, "This is super nice of you. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful, wonderful gesture. We don't feel comfortable doing that right now.
Not right now.
Because I don't want to be the guy who's telling the world, hey, everybody, give me your money. Like, you're getting this, you're bidding on artwork that you'll get to own. We're just keeping the money." But I feel really bad trying to say, oh, hey, look, I know that the world is a trash fire right now, and there are hundreds of worthy causes to donate to, and so many marginalized people and people who need assistance. Give us some money.
Yeah. It would be uncomfortable. It would be very uncomfortable to have a handout at this point.
Like, we started doing the Kickstarter for our Keep Reading Comics t-shirt specifically as a fundraiser for the store. Like, yeah, you get a t-shirt, but we get some money out of the deal.
Right.
That's why we're doing it. And we've kept our mouths shut about it for the last week or so because we feel disingenuous, again, for the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about it to you now on this podcast because you sought this out. You came to us knowing what we talk about.
This is really your fault.
This is, like, this with us just blindly posting on the internet and interrupting the message that is being out there and forcing ourselves onto your feed is a different thing than us talking about it on our store's business podcast.
Sure.
That being said, we've got 6 days left for it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't snort.
It's just a funny transition.
Sure. I mean, it's a good shirt.
It is. I like it. I hope people like it when they get it.
And honestly, like, toward the middle of next week, I will post about it again just because it'll be the last couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
But I'll
difference
feel
between
really bad about
there's
it.
a difference between, like, you know, self-promotion versus, hey, if you do want this is your last chance to get it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
I think there's a difference.
It still feels weird. We did hint about something that we were planning on doing last week, but in the span of the week, things changed. We were going to have our windows boarded up for security reasons, but then we were going to whitewash those boards and then invite a whole bunch of local artists to come and decorate those boards with positive messages, and they were going to be artists of color and representative imagery for the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was going to be all Black Lives Matter stuff, basically.
Yeah, and black characters and black creators.
Just whatever people wanted to do. I don't think we were going to be very hands-on with it.
No. And we went so far as to, I reached out to all of our employees and they gave suggestions, and Kent gave me a laundry list of Instagram artists to check out. Mm-hmm. But it wound up that we did not get our windows boarded up, which is just as well, because I think that may have hurt our business.
Tough to say.
Yeah. And the city got to a point where we don't think it's necessary.
No, things definitely took a turn for peaceful protests, which are continuing, which is great.
We had some great footage that Kent got from peaceful protests going by the store last Saturday that we put up on Instagram and Facebook.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And we are going to do something. We're going to put something up in the window to show support. Mm-hmm. And honestly, we talked about it for a long time because we want to make sure that it's a message of support and not looked at as marketing or selling.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where you're trying to amplify a message, not your business.
Yeah.
And that's finding the way of doing that is something that I think we grapple with.
And I reached out to customers in the store and I had a long talk with Tony Akins last night about the situations in Seattle.
Takens.
And what's going on up there. And he showed me a bunch of video. I showed him video and we talked about stuff. And I showed him our plan. And he said 100% you have to do that.
Okay.
So I feel a little bit better about that. But also, whenever someone who knows us who says, yeah, do it, that's great. But I'm worried about the optics of somebody who doesn't know us.
Sure.
But we know why we're doing it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, at the end of the day, I'm fine with us doing it for the reasons we're doing it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we feel like it's sincere. So hopefully that comes through. I don't know. I'm sure people will let us know if it feels insincere.
And I'll be honest, we had to be talked into this by Kent. This was mainly Kent's idea, even down to the imagery, even though I did the actual layout.
I mean, for me, it's just a lot of the whole point right now is I don't have those experiences and I don't feel comfortable, inserting myself into that conversation in any way.
Yeah.
So doing something where it's now let me say something of support. Man, I don't know if anyone wants to hear it.
But one of the things about Challengers is that it's while it is a white-owned business, it's not just us who work there.
That's true.
And we have other people's voices. And I frequently forget that Kent is a minority. And he's represented by this store as well. And this is how he chooses to be represented.
Okay.
So I think it has more validity in that regard.
I hope.
Is it dumb that we're talking about without saying what it is?
I mean, you can say what it is. It'll be up in a couple days.
Yeah, that's true. I was just hoping to use that as an image for next week's podcast. It is a Black Lives Matter banner with Sam Wilson, Captain America, saying those words.
It was a good run on Cap.
Yeah, it really was.
I really like that one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nick Spencer and runs on characters, I've checked out with Cap a few times over the years, but I really like that Sam Wilson run.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll be honest. I even went back and forth with the way the layout of the banner was because the word balloon is black and the letters are white. Mm-hmm. But that was done because it stands out way more that way.
It pops more.
If it's a white word balloon with black letters, you might. It doesn't stand out.
You lose the word balloon, I think, a little bit.
Agreed. So yeah, I'm sure we way overthought this. I'm sure anybody listening right now is saying, "Shut up already."
For sure.
So we will. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.